Jade Marsh. I'm a purpose and business coach. I'm from the UK, but I'm currently living in Melbourne in Australia.
And hi, I'm Mel Deeg, positive psychology coach, and I am from Australia, and we are so excited to talk to you guys today and share with you our chats.
And so me and Mel, we are on the same group coaching program, so that's how we met, that's how we came together. We've just come back from LA and San Diego, so we was on a retreat. And yeah, we connected really well. We're now like business besties, as we call ourselves. And we have weekly conversations on the phone where we just feel like we drop a lot of gold. Yeah. And we just talk about everyday stuff in business, in the entrepreneurial world, and we just wanted to share it. We wanted to do something like this to share our journey and just to share our opinions on what's going on.
Yeah, exactly. And so one of the first things we want to talk about, which is related to business, but it's also related to life as well, and is whether you can fake being happy. Because I guess me being a positive psychology coach, there is always this misunderstanding with positive psychology. It's just about being happy. But we want to talk about when it's okay to pretend to be happy, or when it's necessary to be happy or pretend to be happy.
Yeah, so it's like, going through life where you just have to put that fake smile on. You have to be like an actress in your own world in a way. So you have to go around acting, putting on this front that, everything's all right, but it might not be inside. And it's the whole thing, faking confidence and all of that to start with. And it's something I do a lot. If, whenever I'm out of my comfort zone or, I'm doing something brand new, I always say to myself, you're confident, you're this, you're that, because I want to appear confident. Like even doing something like this is pretty scary, but it's like, you just have to pretend that you're confident. You have to pretend that that we're really comfortable with doing this, even though we're not, because it's the first time. The thing that this actually stemmed from as well is that me and Mel wanted to do more Facebook Lives and things online. And we just thought, why not come together and do it together? Because it's more powerful, we can hold each other accountable, and it's less scary, I think. So, whenever I do a Facebook Live on my own, I still find it nerve-wracking, but I just paint that, I pretend I'm confident, I pretend that I'm really comfortable doing it, but inside I'm actually shitting myself. And I think the same for you, Mel.
And I guess the thing for me, it's not about necessarily being scared of it, but I find it really hard talking to myself in front of a camera on a Facebook Live, where I'm talking to Jade. So it's a lot easier to have a conversation and it to flow and to be a natural conversation, where sometimes when you're sitting in front of that screen, it's quite difficult to even, I just get mental blank sometimes. So, and I think let's go back. I was picking up something you're saying, I guess it's sort of that fake it till you make it. And I think definitely in life, you do have to fake it till you make it. And I think there's that aspect in terms of pushing yourself, because sometimes by faking it, faking your confidence and just pushing yourself through it, you find that it's okay. And it was a lot easier than you thought. And you were good at it, and that's how you sort of become good at something, is by faking till you make it. But I think also there's the other side of it that we were talking about, is where, if you're having a shit day, is it okay to have a grumpy face and, walk around and be moody? And from my perspective, it's not okay. I think, you need to do things that increase your happiness. But, I'm sorry, when you get out of the car and you're going to be seeing people, put a goddamn smile on your face.
Yeah. It's like you said, Mel, about the whole, just your energy. Think about what type of person you are. So I know if I'm in a mood, if I've, had a row with somebody, I am very aware of not putting that on somebody else, and I think I'm quite good at doing that. Whereas I know people around me who it's really obvious if there's something wrong with them. They'll walk into the room and you feel that energy straight away, and it's like, oh, what's wrong with them? Have they had a row with their boyfriend? Or because it consumes them. whereas I'm quite good at putting it to the back of my mind and think, oh, you know, I'll sort that out later, because I don't want to make somebody else feel uncomfortable in my presence. And when we were chatting about this yesterday, Mel, do you want to share your story in the coffee shop? Because I just think that's brilliant. And Mel is a very funny person, right? So when we actually, before, like, we shared a room and everything in LA, like, we spoke on the phone a couple of times and, you know, we had a bit of a laugh, but when we actually met in person, it was just an instant connection and we just laughed the whole time. And there's not many people in life that you'll meet that you can just be silly with. And, you know, we're adults, but we were pretty immature, to be honest. The things that we were laughing at, I was constantly calling us out saying, how immature are we? There's not many people that you can just silly laugh and laugh at nothing. Like, we genuinely were laughing at nothing sometimes. And it's quite nice to have that. And, like, Mel has got this big energy. And obviously, you know, because we're, like, it's a new friendship, I'm like, Mel's learning things about herself like I am. So I said, you know, you're a really, really funny person. Well, her husband doesn't think she's funny because, you know, they've been married for however long and he's obviously used to her jokes and things, whereas I think she's funny without even purposely being funny. So you was in a coffee shop, weren't you, the other day, and you were being served.
It was funny. I think and this, I guess, it's about being comfortable with yourself as well, but the energy that you bring into situations. And I've noticed for me over the years, I've definitely tried to be very conscious of the energy that I bring into any space that I go into. And so the other day, went into a coffee shop and you want me to share the whole story?
Yeah, share the whole story.
And the people serving at the coffee shop were, you know, probably didn't have the best energy. And the people who were being served before me were like, you know, just normal, just getting their coffee, weren't sort of interacting. And so when I went to order my coffee, the lady said, "What's your name?" And I, for some weird reason, sometimes I can be a social retard, I said, "'Tis Mel." And the girl behind the counter said to me, "Oh, Isabel." And I said, no. You
could have just left it and said, yeah.
I said, no, it's Mel. Mel. And she was like, "Oh, sorry." And I said, "Oh no, I think it's my fault because I said 'tis Mel." And they thought it was so funny. Like, both of these girls who were not happy started laughing, and I think it was really interesting then the way that they interacted with me differently after that moment. Like, they were more smiley, and they, you know, when they gave over me my coffee, they were so much more nicer. They were smiling, and I think it's really important because I went in there with good energy. I was in a good mood. I was feeling good, and also, like, you know, I've started to realize that, you know, my social awkwardness sometimes can be actually quite funny to people if I make a joke of it. But when I'm sitting there going, "Oh my God, I'm like a social retard," and then my energy gets really bad, then I'm not, obviously not getting a really good vibe from the other person as well. So, I mean, you know,
you just, like, when you walked out that shop, they were probably just like taking the absolute mick out of you, but you cheered up their afternoon or morning, whatever.
Yeah.
Obviously having a bad time, and then you come in and they thought it was hilarious. But I think, like, with you just carry that energy about you anyway. Like, it's just easy to laugh at you in a good way. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, you pretty much laughed at me for 10 days straight.
Pretty much, yeah. If you was an insecure person, you might not have been able to have taken it. I love taking the mick out of people as a joke. You know, I'm always up for that because I just think it's just to be silly in life. Like, don't take yourself too seriously. I can laugh at myself all the time. So, yeah, I think constantly laughing at each other.
And I think it's, like, interesting though, because I mean, I work in the corporate world as well as my coaching business, and you know, I see some really senior people walking into the building with a scowl on their face. And then they wonder why they don't have anyone talking to them. Like, I know people who complain, who are senior, complain about people not talking to them.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, have you seen your face?
Yeah.
Like,
have you looked in the mirror?
If you put a smile on your face, someone would actually want to come and talk to you. And I mean, look, I can be guilty of this. I mean, I sometimes have resting bitch face.
What was the look that people
Power of the pause, apparently.
Power of the pause, yeah. Power of the pause. Mel can be quite a scary person when he first meets.
Apparently. Yeah, I mean, I think it's like, that was one of the great things about, being in a group of coaches, and I think you would have found the same thing as well, Jade, is that we were very open with each other, and we talked to each other about things, about first impressions and things like that. And it does sort of help you, step up to that next level of growth. And I think for me, I'm very, very conscious of the energy I bring in the room, when I see people, when I chat with people. Yeah. But sometimes, even when you're aware of that, there's things that you don't really know what other people are thinking. But we had the opportunity, we did this amazing exercise, and I guess we could share it with you as well, is that, there was, I think, 8 of us on the train that day, and we asked each other what we all thought of each other when we knew each other online, and then we actually met each other in person. And I guess one of the things that came up for me was the fact that I have this power of the pause, blank face sometimes, and it can make people feel uncomfortable. So this is something that I'm working on, because it's more like, I'm not even conscious of it.
And that you're more of a serious person as well, I think. But even though you're a serious person, you have this incredibly fun side to you.
Very serious.
Wow. Yeah, very serious. What was mine? Oh, I think Emma said that I came across online as not strong. Hard. Okay, yeah. So that was quite interesting as well, because I guess I can see that in myself as well, and I've had that kind of growing up. I think people used to say that about me, so which is interesting. And I guess it's just I don't really know where it comes from. I guess when you're in a new space with new people, you're not as online. It's difficult, I think, because our group coaching calls are just on the phone as well.
Yeah, for sure.
And I guess I'm quite serious on the phone. Like, I get my questions in, I ask my questions, I get to the point, because I don't want to waste time. I'm conscious of people's time on that call. Whereas in real life, I don't think I'm like that. Like, I'm more joking and having a laugh. So yeah, it's really interesting to kind of learn about yourselves. And yeah, it was definitely a good experience in that way for us to learn more about ourselves, which is really important as a coach, because we need to know how we come across in order to help other people. You have to be so self-aware of yourself, I think.
Oh, exactly. But I think, the thing with self-awareness, it stops at a certain point. And I think, as coaches generally, we are quite self-aware. Yeah. But I think your self-awareness is biased to yourself, so it's like asking people those questions and being around a group of people who will give you constructive, real advice, from a loving space, is really, really valuable, because that actually gives you a whole new perspective of the way you are and where you need to develop. Because there was things that obviously that were brought up that I was like, I know all about that, 100% across that. But then, there was other things that I was like, really? Is that how I come across? And so I think now I have this new self-awareness of going, catching myself going, am I doing this right now? How can I get myself out of that? Yeah. So I think one of the things we were also talking about, so I think Jade and I are I think there's a place and time when you shouldn't fake to be happy. I think if you're faking to be happy all the time, then that's not good. You need to deal with this shit. But I think on a day-to-day level, and I think when you're interacting with other people, especially in a workplace, especially
your environment and the situation.
Exactly. Or, you're going to the supermarket and you're dealing with people, everyone's got their own shit. They don't need your negative energy on top of their own shit, basically. So we have to be really mindful of that. But what do you do, Jade, that gets you in a really good headspace so you can, you know, if you're feeling shit, what are some of the things that you do to sort of get you out of it a little bit, boost sort of your happiness so that you can just like step out of the car or step into work or whatever with like...
I think my biggest thing is in like, I guess music is a big thing for me.
Yeah.
It's like it has a huge effect on my mindset, but I'm someone that puts things into perspective very well, I think, and I've really kind of practiced that more over the last year. I'm all about perspective, so I never like to whinge and complain. I mean, of course I whinge and complain, but I'll say it, but I never allow myself to actually believe that that's true, you know. Like I hate saying, oh, I don't have enough time or anything like that, because I'm not an excuse person. I can't stand excuses. So I think for me, it's all about putting it into perspective. You know, like my life is so much better compared to some other people. You know, you think like living in Melbourne, for instance, in a city, you know, you're constantly walking around, there's homeless people on every corner. And that in itself, like snaps you back into reality. Like, okay, I've got no problems, you know, I'm not homeless, so I can't sit here and complain and, you know, play the victim. Having said that, though, I don't want to be like, oh, you know, you can't, you know, we've all of our problems are subjective to us, you know, and just because it might be a problem, I might have a problem, doesn't mean it's, I'm getting lost with what I'm trying to say. We're all entitled to have our own problems and have our own feelings on that. But I think the way to get over it is to put it into perspective, because otherwise you're just going to dwell on it and it's going to affect your everyday life.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, I think it's, you know, you say perspective, I guess for me it's like gratitude as well. Like it's like, you know, when you have perspective, you then can be grateful for all of the things that you do have. As you said, like walking past someone on the street who's homeless. So you might be pissed off that you have to go to work, but you've got a job.
Yeah.
Like that person doesn't. Like what's happened in that person's life that they're sleeping on the streets. You've got a bed. Like, you know, like you do kind of have to put yourself in perspective, but it's also about being grateful for what you do have. And I think, you know, there's always something to be grateful for. And I think, you know, that's one of the most powerful things in positive psychology, and it's something that I practice daily, is, you know, what am I grateful for? Because it really does kind of snap you out of that and going, well, like, you know, I'm in a bit of a funk today, which, hey, I'm definitely have funky days, but it's like, you know, it's like, well, like, what am I funky about? And like, what do I have to be grateful for? And if you're really challenged on thinking of that, just like sit down and do a gratitude rampage, I guess, write everything that you could possibly be grateful for, because it's really powerful and it can get you, you know, a bit of perspective, which can help minimize the funk. I think I wouldn't say it just snaps you out of it.
I think it's just becoming aware of, like, it's that self-awareness thing again of knowing how to pull yourself out of that funk, you know, because there was a time where, you know, you get up in the morning, you could be running late and everything else goes wrong that morning because you're running late. Whereas, you know, if you change your mindset, you can actually change that up and be like, okay, you know, you're in control of your time. So shift it to, no, I'm in control, you know, I'm not going to be late. Or because if you start your day off in a bad way, then you'll notice that other things start to happen. And that's you. That's you doing that. It's like the law of attraction. It is. It's your energy.
Like, if you've got it, like, you know, a negative frequency, that's what you're going to attract, negative frequency. And it is a mindset, and it's like not creating drama in your life. And I think, like, you know, when I was a teenager, I was fucking awesome at creating drama in my life. Like, seriously, like, I know friends who've known me since I was a teenager, and I was awesome at creating drama. But you have a choice. Like, it's like, is it really that bad at the end of the world if you're running late?
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
You know, and I mean, like, one of the things that I do, like, quite frequently, like, I've got a little girl, you know, trying to get her ready and drop her off and go to school and get myself to work and all of that kind of stuff. sometimes really hard to be on time. And you can just be like, you know, focused on all the cars that get in your way or who are going slow or all the traffic lights. Or what I do, I'm like, you know what? Like, I don't care. Like, if I'm 5 minutes late, it's really not a big deal. I'm going to put on music and I'm going to enjoy this. And I literally always have a dance party in my car when I'm running late.
Yeah.
Because
that's what I miss about being in Melbourne, not having my car here. So I never get music. But I put like my headphones in, and you know, I've got like certain things that I listen to, which is good to get me in the right state. Because I think music changes your state of mind, you know, so quickly. And something that Tony Robbins says as well is that it is just a state of mind, and just because you're in a bad mood doesn't mean you're going to be in a bad mood the rest of the day. You're actually in control. So it's like, okay, I'm feeling moody, but I can actually change this, so I'm going to change my state of mind. And I found that really powerful, and it's always stuck with me since I heard him say that. It's like, there's like being tired, you know, being tired is like a mental thing. You know, and if you tell yourself tired, you will be tired. But if you're telling yourself you're not, and you can pull yourself out of it, and that's worked wonders for me, you know.
Yeah.
So it is all about the state of mind, and it's you are in control of how you feel.
Oh yeah, I mean, I honestly, like what I say to people all the time, and I say to myself sometimes when I'm in a funk, I go like, I can choose to have a great day today, or I can choose to have a shit day.
Yeah.
You know, you really have that choice. And it's like, you know, actually on Thursday, I woke up in a huge funk. I actually did a post about it. And like, yeah, I was not a happy camper. Like there was reasons for it, but I got to like, it sort of got to about 9:30, and I was not dealing with it as well as I could have. And then I was like, hey, like I can choose to have a shit day. Like I've got the whole day in front of me, or I can choose to have a great day. And so I was like, okay, what is going to make my day a great day? And for me, and that's getting back to gratitude, I was like, I've actually got a choice. I'm fucking grateful that I've got a choice to do some things that will help me have a great day. So I did things. I had an awesome day. In the end, I had a really great day.
Yeah.
You know, because I chose to do things that made me happy. And I think that's where, you know, sometimes you might not have that much freedom, but like in a work day, for example, like you might be shitty going to work. Well, you've got a choice to listen to your favorite music on the way. You've got a choice to call someone up who lifts you up. You have a lunch break that you could go for a walk, or you could listen to some music, you could do some meditation, you could do some mindfulness, you could do, you know, read a book. Like you could do things that could boost your happiness. And even in work situation, you can talk to people at work who are people who light you up. Like, you know, like not everyone you work with, like surround yourself with someone who is going to make it a better day for you. So I think it's, you know, you still have those choices. Might not be exactly what activities you do, but you still have that choice. And I think when you start looking for those opportunities to have a good day, you know, you'll be surprised at how many you find.
Yeah, and I think it's also good to actually acknowledge it as well. Like we're not just trying to say, you know, like paint this smile on your face and ignore your issues and your problems. Like still deal with them, but just deal with them in a better way. So, you know, if I'm feeling a bit negative, for instance, you know, a bit stressed, you know, I'm trying to achieve this big goal in my business and I suddenly have no belief in myself, which happens a lot, you know, it's hard to have that full belief in yourself. And sometimes I might get like a 5-10 minute I'm like, I can't do this, you know, I don't think I'm like capable of doing all this. And I'll just message my sister or even a friend and I'll just like rant, you know, just say how I feel. And then they'll come back to me with a response. And straight away I'm like, oh, what an idiot. Like, am I seriously, like, I feel silly for it, but I've let it out. And I think it's good to deal with it. So, you know, or write it down, like you said, just deal with it. Allow yourself to feel that way. And then remind yourself it's a load of rubbish, realistically. Get that perspective back again. And then just get on with it, you know. And it's like as well, like we come back from the retreat and we were all on such a massive high and being surrounded by so many people that, you know, we left each other and I felt quite lonely and I felt down. Like we all kind of said it, and but we all kind of, you know, said we're just going to take a couple of days and just be, you know, like there was no point in me trying to do any work because I just didn't feel it. You know, I wanted to sit there on the couch, you know, eat crap, watch a film, whatever. But then I also knew, okay, for me to feel better, I need to exercise, I need to eat healthy. But I'm just going to have this day or two just to process everything, feel a bit shit, and then in a couple of days, I'll pick myself back up again.
And I'm so glad.
It's like
I'm so glad you raised that, because, you know, I have definitely been guilty in the past of, especially, you know, and Jade knows this through my story, is ignoring my pain and pushing forward. And I think for me, being, you know, obviously I love the science of happiness, and obviously that's come from somewhere, you know, the wanting to be happy, that for a very long time of my life I pretended to be happy, and that made me unhappy. That actually led to a breakdown for me, because
it's always going to come to a head.
Exactly. So it's really important to, if you have real shit that's going on in your life, or, you know, there's something that's caused you to feel a particular way, you need to acknowledge that emotion. You need to deal with it in a constructive way. Sometimes it's just, you know, not doing anything or talking to people, or, you know, even seeking professional help. So I think that's really important. But then I do think it's important, even if you're going through that shit, is not to project your shit onto other people, because that's just selfish. Yeah. Like it's one of my bugbears that I just don't like, when people come and you can see that they're like, you know, they've got atrocious behavior. And for me, I'm like, obviously, you know, for me, the first thing I go through, because it's, you know, I tell myself is, well, obviously they're going through a lot of shit right now. So I come from a sympathetic point of view. But then at the same time, it's like, you're affecting other people. Like, you know, get a grip. Like, you know, we're adults, and I think it's important to, you know, with strangers or people that you work with, you know, and I think it's like, you know, you and I, for example, like, you know, we are very conscious of that, and are some people who are very conscious of not, you know, projecting their shit onto other people. But I've had it. Like, I've been dealing with enormous shit, and then people come and they're dealing with shit and they project it all on me, and it's like, you know, and I'm like, you have no idea what I am going through right now. Just because I'm putting a you know, a smile on my face, I'm at work, so, you know, I don't want to put that onto other people, but then other people put that onto you. And I guess what our message is really is to find what can get you out of that funk, so you can, you know, change your energy when you're around other people, and you find appropriate times to deal with your shit, but not, you know, the poor person behind the checkout, or, you know, your work colleague, or, you know, even your family. I think it's important to, you know, deal with it at the right time, deal with it in the right way, but also, you know, not project it onto other people either.
Yeah, because you never know how you're going to make someone feel. And it depends what type of person they are, especially if they're a sensitive person as well, whether or not your energy and your attitude is anything to do with them. They could take that really personally and take that on board, and that could actually affect them. Definitely. You know, in how they live every day. It's like, you know, people that get bullied and things, they're getting bullied, the bully has their own issues and problems, but they're just projecting it on the person they're bullying. It's actually not normally about that person that they're bullying. It's their own issues, but that's how they channel it, and that's how they deal with it. And now they've just fucked up that person's life by bullying them when it was nothing to do with them in the first place, you know?
Exactly.
So yeah, it's just everything's down to self-awareness.
I guess that's the other thing, though. I think if you are, you know, getting someone who's treating you badly, or you're getting bad energies from people, I think try, you know, and this is what I do to try, because I am sensitive to things like that, is flip it. in my mind go, you know, give them sympathy, give them love, go, obviously this person's really struggling right now and they might not have all the skills to actually be able to front up with a smile on their face.
Yeah.
So I think, you know, for me, even though sometimes like it can be incredibly hard if someone's treating you like shit, is to, you know, come from a place of love and go, you know, they're obviously having a hard time, and that also helps you kind of create a barrier around you as well, because you're not actually taking on what they're saying, because you're like, you know what you're saying right now might not really be the truth, because, or the way that you just looked at me or snapped at me, like, it's probably not about me, it's probably more about you than me.
Exactly, it's a reflection on how they're feeling. Yeah, definitely. Well, I think, I think it's such an important topic, and it's a good thing to just become more self-aware of yourself, how you're carrying yourself, how you're affecting other people in your everyday life, but also, you know, always dealing with your shit as well, not ignoring it, but just knowing that there is a time and a place to deal with it. And I think what we want to say as well is, you know, if anyone's got any questions or there's a topic that they want us to talk about, then I'd love for that to happen, because we want to help people as much as possible and know what other people are actually going through. So, you know, you can always comment on this video or send us a direct message about something that you might be going through, and then we can just chat about it.
Yeah, that would be awesome. Love that. Okay, well, I think that's us done. So
that's a wrap.
That's a wrap. See ya.